Welcome, Gab. So Gab is a renegade educator, a scientist, and a human behaviour and communications expert. So welcome, Gab.
Hi, Gab. Thanks, Amy and Dallas. It's good to be here.
Could you introduce yourself and tell us about the background?
So I'm Gab, and I use the term renegade specifically because I don't think at this time in history, which is unprecedented, that there are any precedents that we can stick to. But in my work, I actually have unprecedented precedents that I've been working with and fine-tuning over the last 25 years. So as a renegade educator, I believe that we need to try new things and prove ourselves wrong. And my background is, I started as a Montessori teacher, but I realized early on that I didn't actually want to almost be limited to a classroom. And so I started to explore education on a much greater scale, studying over globally for the last 25 years, but not only in education, because I don't believe that a parent or a teacher or educator or a mentor should limit their own education. That's what renegade educator means, that you as an individual, if you are holding a child's psyche or learning journey or experience of the world in your hands, freedom of spirit is the most sacred gift we are given to hold for our children. So I learned self-development, self-mastery, and inspiration as a vehicle to move you, as a currency in education. And that is how I designed something called Inspire Ed. Why I am a human behavioralist and communications expert is human language, human behavior is communication. It is not just the way you articulate things and the language you use. Your behavior is a communication system. And because Maria Montessori spoke about the psyche of the child, and that is the most fragile thing and the most underestimated and under-researched thread, because you can't see it. And because when you can't find, right, you're actually, you're incarcerated to a certain degree. Your spirit is incarcerated because you have to follow this way, right? So I believe as an educator, because I train adults and I teach, but I am responsible for my vessel and being living an examined life and being educated. Because I cannot, in good conscience with responsibility, make sure that my children, I've got two young adults, 19 and 17, but the adults that I work with, the parents, the corporates, the individuals, I cannot teach if I haven't conquered something, conquering, examined it, or I'm honest about experimenting, and we work together.
So learning then doesn't just mean that you stop learning when you become an adult.
Never.
Yeah.
So basically, for me, going back to language, we use words without thinking of their context or their definition. Because the education system has cut off our right and our left brains from operating in an integrated way, which is part of language, we speak without thinking, we follow without interrogation. I think that we should always be children with an ability to understand our impact human to human, no matter what our age is, in an age-appropriate stage of life. Because consideration actually, for somebody else is adulting. Taking care of your own behavior. So if we are adapting, if we go back to Charles Darwin, adapting means the ability to change your mind and move faster, really. But you've got to be moving in the right direction, not just in the direction that's presented to you. So if you think about what's expected of an adult today in education, what is it? Last year I went to look at Harvard, do a course at Harvard in learning education and for adults and teachers. And I thought it was interesting. What's an adult? It was a parent. It was anybody responsible for looking after or guardian of a child. And it struck me how behind they were. Sorry, Harvard, actually. Because it's not about adulting. It's not about anything. It is about, as you said, Amy, learning. And that's a verb. It's a verb. And it's to experience learning as delight. With inspiration as the vehicle to move you, which is an inner journey. So it's about learning how to take a child and yourself on an inspirational journey to find your passion, how you acquire knowledge, and to investigate if that knowledge and discern if that knowledge is right, wrong, outdated, good, bad, appropriate, good for the planet, good for you, healthy for the family, to develop metacognition. That's what being an adult is, the ability to analyze your thinking. So renegade science is a big thing. It's a totally different, renegade education, it's a totally different way of looking at things. And it incorporates sociology, anthropology, ethnography, which is when you study cultures and you go within the culture. Multilingualism, which is the language of being able to communicate cross-culturally, heart to heart. The language of the universe, which we are not, it's not prioritized, right? And then how you behave, human to human, how our hearts are open.
So it's also questioning, in my understanding of what you're saying, social norms, like a lot of the things that we've been taught to question those things. Okay.
Yes. And not just question, it's to first understand, does this work for me? Why have we been told this? Where does it, when we go, so I am a big unschooler, homeschooler, I'm all for it. My only concern is us as parents or educators or homeschoolers, we cannot bring ourselves into that space in the current place we're in without updating our own inner being, our own rewiring, our own neural connections, understanding the heart-brain connection, integrating our left and right brain and using different methodology. Experimentation. I call it Destiny's Playground. And then deciding, how do we know what children need to learn? I can tell you. I was thinking about it the other day. It actually makes me angry. I knew from a little girl, because I've been conscious from a very young age, that what I was learning, I never needed to know. And I have an issue because I call it brain rot at school. You are taking a child's brain and you are wiring into, philosophy calls it a mind lock. It's like slavery. I don't remember anything. Yeah. I only had 3 teachers who believed in me, really. It's like, so we have a big responsibility.
So can you please tell us more about Inspired?
Yes. Okay. Maybe if you can tell me, Inspired is it's a way to educate, but I'm interested to know, Amy, from you, Amy, one thing that's struck you in what I was saying about Inspired, so that I can give specific context, or you, Dallas. Is there anything you'd like to know specifically about it? Well, that resonates with you.
It's understanding it, I think, to start with. We weren't sure, is it a company, is it your company, or is it a way of living and working?
Inspired is a operating system that can be applied in education, in training, in leading your own life. Okay? So if you break up the word, it's in. Okay, spire can be spirit, inspiration, and ed is education. But it's got in at the beginning of the word and ed at the end. It is not looking at the external world to determine what you learn first. So inspire with your interpersonal skills first, learning yourself. Right? What gets you lit? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? It teaches you how to follow the good feelings of things, not feeling that heavy responsibility. Teaches you how to use feelings and emotions as a guidance system, to find your compass, how to set your coordinates. It shows you your interpersonal skills, how to relate to other people and information, how to discern. It then shows you how to use imagination. So I speak about imagination, entitled, empowered, and we set that up first. Reference of and interrogate each individual curates their own autodidactic learning journey. So that's what I teach people to do. How do you follow your own path? There are a lot of Gen Zs out there. My son's one of them. He's gone. University doesn't count anymore. Degrees are falling like dominoes. I started to teach my kids how to think in COVID. That's how inspired, because they couldn't think. Now my son's 19, wildlife photographer, doing a birding, wildlife course, finding their own way differently. But it's hard because they're not tethered to something. So how do we teach the Gen Zs to find their own path? Because we don't know. So inspired, it's a bridge to give the skills that are not taught at school, right? Those life skills that kids don't have and we don't have, and I'm still learning. And that is why I work as a living ecosystem, networking and languaging continually, communication and creative movement for change. Because once I live by a quote, knowledge without expansion is finite. That is a jail sentence that not only incarcerates you, but me, us, and them. Because in every moment, we're in a place we've never been. That's the beauty of life. That's the bottom line and grounding of Inspired. To learn how to breathe. I moved outside in the garden. People wouldn't normally do that. Oh, the panic, lost signal, this, that. Now I'm sitting outside in my garden thinking, what a blessing. Calming and centering my nervous system. Grateful in this moment, ladies. Thank you. You're doing such a beautiful thing. These conversations are the way forward. And if we can create community where we can all talk and say, I tried this, I did that, did you know? It's wonderful to think about these things.
Yeah, well, quite often we don't reflect enough, do we? We're too much on the go.
Sadly, I live in reflection.
Yeah.
That's my work.
Yeah, it sounds like the philosophy is really breaking away from the expectations of society and the indoctrination of society and really just going inward and going with your intuition. And it's lovely. I think a lot more people could incorporate that in their daily lives.
So Dallas, I think that it's much more grounded than that, because it cannot be separate from society, so to speak. And I've done the questioning. I understand the bigger picture of what's going on, how we've been programmed and systemized and all of that. And hopefully one day I'll be able to have like a library, categorized, subjectized, and in a linear order of history of what's actually happened in the world and why one must do this. I can tell you, this is my message, and I know that this is so harsh, but I saw it in COVID 5 years ago. And I can, now that I have the evidence and the empirical research, and know, and it's, if you just look at the world, it shows you. Ignorance is suicide. Illiteracy, you're marching into the unknown that is not good. You look at the narratives, culture, all of that, right? So that's why I say it's not about society, so to speak. It's like creating from yourself outwards, whether you function in society, join society, but with an absolute awakeness and awareness. I don't believe in intuition. Intuition is a lovely philosophy. We actually have a total psychoenergetic system. We are electric magnetic beings. To us is how to use our energetics. I'm a quantum physicist and a metaphysicist. I've studied energy as well, because from a little girl I had absolute absolutely paranormal experiences. And I'm one of the woo ones to some, believing I was an indigo child or different. And I believe autistic children are all AWE to learn them. I don't believe in neurodivergence. I think that we're breaking out. And we must double down, as I call it, on the unreasonable oddness of just learning how to be. We actually have 8 clear senses which inform us outside of intuition. Intuition is a feeling. Our clear senses are different. It's not, she's a, what is it? Fortune teller. It's not
audience or okay, yeah, all the different clairs,
exactly
like
audience. Yes, there's a whole different knowledge base for us to experience, and it's fun, and it's light, and it's delicious, and to learn and have go and meet people, sit with other cultures, go and hear about them. All of my work is underpinned by Ubuntu because it's, I am, because you are, I want to leave the legacy of my children saying, or my grandchildren's grandchildren, if there's humans on earth, we are because they were.
And how do you work with people, Gab? So do people approach you and you sort of do sessions?
So I'm in the process actually of changing how I work, because I no longer believe that coaching should be so inaccessible, so long, and I want to make my work more accessible to more people. So at the moment, where they want to be. Some people are working in groups, different mothers connecting, and we call it coffee club, where we connect, have conversation, get clarity, compass points. And then some people are working one-on-one, and hopefully I'm going to be traveling actually to different places and meeting people and doing workshops, because I believe in like one-on-one must be in person. So yeah, people must message me. The bottom line of my work is the quote, sometimes the greatest adventure is simply a conversation.
It's very true.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about use of language and promoting emotional wealth?
Wealth. Okay. So we have, they said, 1,500 language stems. The words you use, words and swords have the same letters. Listen and silent have the same letters, right? Language can either free you or lock you. Okay? And we must be conscious of the words we use, because it also determines how we feel. Our heart has memory. It has 50,000 brain cells, right? 40,000, they say. I mean, how do they count? Okay? With dendrites. And what comes first, thought or feeling? But where does the feeling come from? The words, the story, and what you're saying. So we must learn the relationship so that we build emotional wealth, okay, and mental wealth, not the words, and just being, it's not mindful, but discovering and moving from when somebody says, hello, how are you? And you say, good, or fine, thank you, and you. Really, are you? It's the worst thing. How are you? I don't even know how to answer that anymore. Okay? We must become conscious of what we say, because it defines our reality and our experience. And it goes back to the consideration in our behavior of how we impact somebody else's emotional wealth without even knowing it.
And what advice do you have for homeschooling parents?
Find a mentor, an anchor, an axis, a group of moms that holds you tight, a safe space. Create a board of directors, so to speak, right? Because you cannot hold your children's journey if you are not held yourself. We as parents, even adults, everybody in the world today must find an axis. And that axis is a different group of people. So what I mean by a board of directors, right? So when I had a baby, I had an older friend much older, like 20 years, kids were teenagers. Then I had a friend whose son was 2 weeks older than me. Thank God for her. She was the only working mom. She also had postnatal depression. Then there was the mummies group. Then I had my friend who made me laugh, my single friend I went out with, couple friend. Always had somebody who, because I have to be holding space for other people. And not necessarily, and don't believe that somebody else knows, right? No one knows. You know your child, but we're getting to know our children in a different way. So be open to learning, right? Find spaces and think about things in another way. Start to learn how to think yourself, right? And don't see it as being wrong, making mistakes. I've crossed out mistakes. I don't believe in mistakes anymore. Don't believe in right or wrong. I believe in a depth of understanding, leaning into things, shifting and changing behavior with awareness and going, okay, I understand now. But then there's accountability. And that means continually moving. And take your children's feelings into account about the world today. Try and understand and speak to the Gen Zs or come to one of my groups to learn. I have integrated intergenerational conversations with people around the world, right? Because the other day, just a quick stat. In Japan, the 19-year-olds are struggling, and Suicide Island has never had such huge statistics. I was shattered. And what they're craving is wisdom. But who's wise? For me, the wise is those who know they don't know, but they also know what they know. And what they know is not about facts. It's about humans. Because this is a state where we need to come back to our humanity. And my other advice is, I live by this and tell my children. 1, believe nothing. 2, question everything. Trust no one. Details matter. Precisions count. And have fun. Learn to have fun again. We must learn discernment. And that's my final advice. I hope that's
Thank you so
helpful.
much, Gab.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, thank you.
Good. I hope today's been helpful. Thank you to you both. I honor you. It's been a privilege. You are doing such a beautiful thing. Your energy is incredible, your gentleness of spirit. And I send an honoring to every single human being and parent that tunes in and listens, from my heart to yours. Oh, blessings.